Hey, this is Derek Triplett. Let's talk about, are you ready for a relationship? One of the things you need to think about, are you ready to be a plus one? You know the plus one, somebody gets invited to something and they're able to bring somebody along, that's their plus one. I'm talking about a different plus one. Do you add value to the person that you're connecting with? Do you raise the level of their existence? Do you raise the level of their life? Are you a plus one? Don't bring them down. You want to lift them up. So make sure that if you're going to get in a relationship, you're ready to add value. Are you a plus one? Why are so many people hurting so badly? Make the relationship more important than the issue. Do you add value to the person that you're connected with? My name is Derek Triplett. This is Better Relationships. And guess what? It gets better from here. Welcome to Better Relationships. My name is Derek Triplett. Today I want to talk to the single adults. And according to the last census, there's a lot of y'all. There are over 110 million people who are 18 and above who are single. That's over 45% of the U.S. population. I want to talk to you all. I've got a question. For those of you who want to ultimately be in a relationship that's serious, that could lead to marriage, how do you know when you're ready? How do you know when you are relationship ready? How do you know when you're worth a risk taking? Everybody takes a risk when they get into a relationship. And you, single adult, are you worth it? We're going to talk today about being relationship ready. That's what's coming up next on Better Relationships with Derek Triplett.
1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your favorite brother, your other brother, you, your football buddy, your football buddy, you, the boss's boss. If 1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes, that means it could be you, your barber, your barber's barber.
Nice work. Thanks.
You, your plumber.
Breathe right into your foot.
Your plumber's masseuse.
Yes.
You, your dog walker.
On your left.
Your cat jogger. Or you, your co-pilot. Your co-pilot's co-pilot. While 1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes, with early diagnosis, pre-diabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org to know where you stand.
The only way you should get into a relationship is that you feel you are ready, you have taken an inventory of yourself and been around that person long enough to know that you know him.
The only way you should get into a relationship is if you've had time to go through some type of counseling so that you'll know more about yourself and the individual that you're getting into a relationship with.
The only way you should get in a relationship is when you have properly taken care of yourself.
Welcome back to Better Relationships. My name is Derek Triplett. We're talking to the single adults today, all 110 million of you in the United States of America. What makes your relationship ready? How do you know that you are a good risk for somebody to take? And I brought somebody in that can tell you about it. She's a speaker, she's an author, she is a coach for women, you name it. Dr. Ann Mercer, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you. I wanted to talk to you about this subject because of the breadth of your relationship history. Because it would be one thing to talk to a 21-year-old about being relationship ready. Matter of fact, I want to talk to them about being relationship ready. So I wanted to talk to you. Tell me, what's the story? Married, divorced? Talk to me about that.
Married young, was in an abusive relationship, got divorced. And in my home, they trained us not to even look for single men. but always attract men who are non-committals, and to date men who are either are non-committals or either married, because all you just need is somebody to provide for you.
Okay.
So
it's safe.
Safe, but with no commitment. And then coming from an abusive home, I was trying to find my father in other men.
Okay.
Because my father was a remarkable man till age 12, till he began to live his truth. And his truth was he was a homosexual.
Wow.
And it devastated us, but he was happy with it. And so I was angry, I was bitter, and I did not know how to respect men.
So you loved your dad.
Loved him.
Loved your dad.
Loved him.
Hit a crossroads
Yes.
at age 12, married young, that ends up being abusive. How do you come out of that?
I didn't. I went to church, and the church taught me how to hide it.
Okay.
How to just suppress it, praise God, pray God gonna work it out after a while. And he didn't. I became more of a monster because they taught me how to hide. And the other people that was hiding, I connected to them because
So
we're
y'all just
spirit
hid
first.
together.
Oh yeah, because spirits attract each other.
Right.
So years later, I got involved with my leader, and it devastated my life. I mean, like, it wrecked my children, it wrecked his family. And I remember going back to Knoxville and heard this man say, God wants to do so much in your life, but you got to make your wrong right.
Wow.
Did not understand that until God told me to give him back to his wife. He doesn't belong to you. I was like, that's crazy.
Okay.
So in that, I did that, and
Emotionally?
emotionally and physically.
Okay. Okay.
He went back to literally. God began to deal with me for a whole year. Give him back to his wife. He he does not belong to you. Took me on this journey about David and Bathsheba. I was like, oh my God. And with that, make a long testimony short, he went back and married her. God restored their church. God restored their marriage. God restored everything. But I was on a separate journey. So then now, as God has elevated my life, my ministry, my name, they were telling me, you don't tell certain things.
Okay.
It's going to be okay. That's your past and go on. But I kept running into the same spirit with different faces. So then I got into this relationship with someone who was single and found out that was not the will of God. I was trying to fulfill something that I never had. And I put that responsibility on that man.
Somebody else.
Yes.
Now, coming out of that, you discovered you, worked on you, and then you reached a point and you said, now I'm ready for a healthy relationship.
Yes.
What was that like, and what were those traits that told you, okay, I'm centered enough, and because I've got this, this, and this, I'm now ready for a healthy relationship?
You know, I knew I was ready when I started reproducing who I was. I started writing. I got to the place where I didn't need a relationship.
Okay.
I got to the place where I stopped focusing on one, or you go here, you may find them, or you go there, you may find them. You look this way, and I start saying, you know what, it's too much pressure. It's time for me to be who I am and live my truth. And that's what I started doing. And I started rebuilding relationship with my children and really focusing on the dynamic of healing my family.
Okay.
And I got to the point the other day, I said, you know what, I think I'm ready.
So the first step of knowing that you were relationship ready was that you didn't need one.
I didn't need one.
Wow.
I didn't need one. I was centered. I was happy. I could, and it's not all give yourself a bath, take yourself out to eat. They tell us you still miserable taking because every now and then you want somebody on the other side of that table telling you fine, you know? So, but I started enjoying life, and I started seeing my perspective changed, and I was not again going to allow no one to tolerate me. I wanted someone to be committed, to be happy. We could share our stories and nobody judged me or I judged them. And I just began to see life in a whole nother way.
So you didn't need it, but now you got a life that's full. But how did you make space or leave space in a full life to be open for a relationship?
Because I kept myself. Now I'm at a place where I could be vulnerable. I'm at a place where I could be vulnerable to love and realize that loving someone, you may get hurt. But if you know their heart and you understand that they're not hurting you intentionally,
okay,
and you're growing together, I'm ready to work with someone.
So far we've said, don't be desperate.
Right, absolutely.
And embrace the power of vulnerability.
Absolutely.
Those two things help make you relationship ready.
It made me ready.
We're going to keep talking about it. We're going to come back in a minute. My name is Derek Triplett, and this is Better Relationships. Hey, let's head over to the Better Relationships Q&A corner. Here's a question from Carl from Atlanta. How do you know when you found the right one? Well, let me tell you this. It helps when you know and admit when you're with the wrong one. A lot of times in the dating process, we can know this is not her. We can know, ladies, this is not him. And you'll stick with it because it's meeting a particular need at that particular time. Let me separate your needs. There are dominant needs and then there are prominent needs. You want to be in relationship with people who are meeting your dominant needs. Here's what I mean. There are 3 or 4 things that you've just got to have in a relationship, no matter who you're in relationship with. I need these things, whether it's communication, whether it's conflict resolution skills, whether I want children, whatever it is, write those down, be sure about those, and make sure that whomever you are dating has the ability to meet those dominant needs. A lot of times we get into relationships because people meet our prominent needs, whatever's at the surface right now. I'm lonely right now, or I need somebody to go to a particular work event, so I hook up, or it's Valentine's Day or Christmas Eve and I don't want to spend it alone. Don't do that to yourself because you can end up wasting a lot of time. So get your dominant needs together and choose people. Now, some would ask, does God send you one particular person? Let me answer that question the only way I know how. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not one of those people who say, you got to find your rib. I don't know. You got to get that from somebody else. But make sure that you have somebody who meets your dominant needs. Your dominant needs, not the prominent ones. That's my answer.
How to know if you should reach out to a friend. Your friend might be
worried, sad,
grumpy, angry,
stressed, weird, rebellious,
anxious, antisocial,
lonely,
sleeping less,
sleeping more,
eating less,
eating more.
Look, there are a lot of things to watch out for, but you know your friend best. So if they're not acting themselves, why not say something? Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org. Awkward.
I have a couple of resources that I want to make you aware of. The first is a book entitled What You Say When You Say I Do. Here's the premise. In 90 seconds, standing before the preacher or at the courthouse, we repeat some vows. I do, I do, I do. But what are we really saying? What you say when you say I do breaks down the traditional wedding vows and gives you an understanding of every promise that you're making. It's great for marriage prep. Pastors, you can use it. It is your premarital counseling in one book. I recommend that to you. Also, for couples who want to spend some time together developing their relationship, I've got a resource called We Time. We Time is a 52-week devotional where you and your partner can go through it, empower your relationship. It's mind-blowing. Get those 2 resources on Amazon.com. Hi, this is Derek Triplett. Let me ask you a question. Who are you in your relationships? What are your beliefs? What are your behavioral patterns? All of that matters and will affect your relationship. We like to talk about what the other person is, but you are a certain person within the confines of a relationship, and that's going to affect your relationships. So let's ask these questions. One, who taught you your beliefs as it relates to gender roles? What you believe a woman should do and be? What you believe a man should do and be? If you were miseducated, especially if Uncle Joe taught you, yeah, this is what's supposed to happen and this is supposed to be, if that's how you were trained, then maybe that's why your relationships end up the way they are. Let me ask you another question. Who taught you the importance of forgiveness, tolerance, acceptance? Who taught you how to converse? Who taught you how to actively listen? All of those are a part of being in a good relationship. If the wrong person taught you, then you learned the wrong stuff. So go back, decide, go back, remember, go back, refine what you think about relationships and who you are in them. Because guess what? All of your relationships have one thing in common: you. So if you are jacked up, then it's a possibility your relationship might go left. Listen, I'm Derek Triplett. This is Better Relationships, and it gets better from here. Welcome back to Better Relationships. My name is Derek Triplett. We're talking to Dr. Ann Mercer on today. And I'll be honest, I just really want to sit here. I'm the host of the show, but I just really want to sit here and let you talk. But we're talking about being relationship ready. And before the break, we talked about the power of being vulnerable, that you know you're ready to be in a relationship when you open yourself for the possibility of being hurt. A lot of people don't want to do that.
Right. And then the next thing is I had to go deeper in forgiveness.
Wow.
I had to realize, I had a conversation with my father, and I let him know, regardless of what you are, you're still my dad. And it doesn't change who you are or what you are or who you love. And my father got sick, and he asked me to come because he was on his dying bed. And I wasn't going to go, but then I went. And when I walked in the room, he said, I've always followed you. Not even been in your life, I've always followed you. He said, and let me say this to you. I never stopped loving you. And the word that I spoke over you when you was 9 years old, I'm seeing God do it right now. Because he would say, God's going to make your name great. I don't know how, but God's going to make your name great. And I had to really embrace that if he was in my life, I wouldn't have turned out the way I am.
Okay.
So I thanked him for loving me enough to walk away.
Could it be, and this is a whole nother subject, and I shouldn't throw this out here, but I will. But could it be that sometimes, especially when it comes to family, we reject a family member for something that we perceive doesn't agree with us, and then we miss their deposit in our lives?
Right.
That if I could learn to tolerate and respect, I could still have that deposit.
Absolutely. And I realized that I judged him a lot versus understanding, like he was in the entertainment business.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things I could have learned from him, but because his lifestyle wasn't normal in our family dynamic, we rejected him. And so even now, I have a little sister that she's a national track artist. I'm a worldwide track artist. I'm a track star, excuse me. And he loves her. Okay. He pulls into her. And I had to tell her, I'm so glad that you're receiving what I missed.
Wow. Yeah. So you can look and say, sitting here now, after this journey, I'm relationship ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. I love it. I love it.
Ready.
I wish we could talk some more. We're short on time.
Oh,
we
no
got to bring you back.
Of course.
We got to bring you back.
Of course.
Listen, are you relationship ready? Are you worth the risk? You got to ask yourself that question. Listen, I'm Derek Triplett. This is Better Relationships. It gets better from here. I would love to be a part of your married couples, singles, relationship conferences, or panel discussions. If you would like me to be a guest on your radio show, television show, or podcast, please send speaking and media requests to info@DerekTriplett.com. Follow me on Facebook at Real Derek Triplett and Twitter and Instagram at Derek Triplett. Let's head back to the Better Relationships Q&A corner. Here's a question from Tanisha from Illinois. Do you have relationship role models? Actually, I do. There was a couple in Chicago, and I watched their relationship over the years. They were so in love all the time. It was actually a pastor and his wife, and I watched them, not the fake stuff in front of the people. I watched them outside of church. They loved each other so much, and I looked at them and said, I want that. They were my marriage heroes. They were my relationship role models. As it relates to parenting, I'm actually my own role model with that. One of the best things I do is I'm a great parent. And so I love the fact that I've been blessed to be somebody else's role model when it comes to parenting. I've had people come to me and say, I want to father my children just like you have raised yours. And so that's a great thing. Now, I also have some relationship role models when it comes to my friends. My best friends are so much better at friendship than me. They are tremendous. I'm trying to grow up and be the kind of friend that they are. They've been there for me every step of the way, and I look at them and I thank God for them, but I also try to emulate who they are because they're just great friends. It's good, and this is a great question, because it's good to have an image, not that you want to necessarily imitate, but an image that you want to learn from and that you can pursue that particular standard. Great question. Keep them coming. I'm going to be honest. I could have kept talking to Dr. Ann Mercer. What a powerful, powerful story. Are you relationship ready? How do you know? Listen, I want to give you a few things that you need to think about. Number one, don't be desperate. If you are desperate, then you're not ready for a relationship. If somebody else needs to make you happy, you're not ready for a relationship. This is what I teach people. Find someone who is already happy and then make them happier. It's really that simple. Here's the other thing. You're gonna need to be vulnerable. There's power in vulnerability. I know we like to protect ourselves. Nobody wants to be hurt, especially if you've been hurt before. But guess what? If you're gonna be in a real relationship, that risk is there. Make sure that it's a calculated risk. For those of you who are believers in God, make sure it's a prayerful risk. But no, you've got to take a risk. And then finally, decide, I want to give. Don't just get into a relationship for what you want to receive. Get into a relationship for what you have the capacity and the desire to give. If two people are giving, it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful thing. Listen, my name is Derek Triplett. This is Better Relationships. It gets better from here.
Action!
My work is not possible without the support of a tremendous family. We are not a perfect family. We have our scars and our stains. But being a triplet is a great honor to me, and I take pride in it. I want to thank my wife, my children, my parents, and my brother and sisters for their support and their encouragement. I also have some close friends who really want to see me win. I want to thank them for helping to keep me going. Without them, I couldn't be here for you. Hi, this is Derek Triplett. I want to talk about breakups. Why? Because they're necessary sometimes. Now, I'm not talking about divorce. Those of you who are married, do not take what I'm saying as your card to be able to get out of your marriage. I'm not talking to you right now. You deal with that with someone else. But I'm talking about those who are not married and they're dating and they're in relationships that they should walk away from. Listen, you don't have a whole lot of time. Your life is not as long as you think it may be. Time flies and we look back and our life is gone. So if you are in a relationship that you know you shouldn't be in, break up. Break up. Here's why we don't break up. We would rather have a piece of something than all of nothing. And sometimes it's not the person that we miss. It's not the person we're committed to. It's the routine that we miss. So don't stay with a person just because you are unwilling to deal with their absence. Break your routine, because guess what? You can't get ready for what's next for you if you haven't gotten through and gotten over and gotten past what you're in right now. So sometimes the breakup is necessary. And for those of you who are cowards and you're waiting on him or her to do it because you don't want to be responsible for doing it, they may never do it. So go ahead, get the courage to do what you need to do, end what needs to be ended so that you can begin what needs to be begun. I'm Derek Triplett. This is Better Relationships. We're headed back to the Better Relationships Q&A corner. Here's a question from Rob from Los Angeles. I think my wife is falling out of love with me. She's been distancing herself away, not talking as much. I tried everything I could. I tried talking, asked her to go to counseling. I bring flowers. I just don't know what else to do. Please help. First of all, Rob, don't panic. Try not to use fatalistic conversational techniques. I think my wife is falling out of love with me. No, it could be a myriad of other things. It could be that she's going through something personally that she's not ready to share yet. So continue to be open as a husband, continue to be supportive as a husband, and when it's time, just ask the tough questions. Don't beat around the bush. If you think or have some suspicions, articulate those in a way that's not accusatory. If you think that she has forgotten about you or is neglecting you, talk to her about your feelings of neglect. If she conveys to you that she's just going through something right now, then take that. And here's the tough part. Continue to be a great husband. Continue to sow the seeds of being a great husband, because ultimately you'll reap the harvest of her returning to being a great wife. Counseling is so important. Continue to ask her to go to counseling so that you all can get what you need to move forward. But don't panic. Don't use fatalistic conversation. Don't use accusatory language. Just be there, support, ask good questions, engage in active listening, and I think things will get better. They can, really. Don't panic.